My wife is ugly. And her cooking is terrible, my uncle said, his face red from drinking. Other men in the room agreed with him. My husband, who was getting more excited by their support, repeated my complaints one by one. Looking proud, I took a deep breath to hide my embarrassment and anger. Suddenly, my mother-in-law stood up and stared at my husband. Is that all you have to say? She said. Everyone went silent. My name is Emma, and I'm 40 years old. I work in a medical office. I met my husband, Tom, who is 4 years older than me, through our shared love for tennis. We've been married for 13 years and really want children, but we can't have any, which makes me sad. My in-laws live separately but always worry about us, especially my mother-in-law. I have a good relationship with her. We often go out for lunch and shopping. My mother passed away when I was young, so my mother-in-law is like a real mother to me. She loves me as if I were her own child. Although my marriage was fine at first, my husband became very controlling after about 10 years. He's not kind to me anymore. For the past 3 years, he has been working late and traveling more often. He was transferred to a new department, and now he only comes home half the week. When he does, he treats me like a servant, asking things like, "Hey, is dinner ready?" One day, I finally told him, "You're not a child anymore. You should prepare your own clothes." He responded angrily, saying, "It's your duty to obey me as my wife. Don't complain." For an hour, he yelled at me and blamed me, bringing it up whenever he was in a bad mood. I felt trapped and had no choice but to obey him. One evening during dinner, he complained, "What's with all the vegetables? Am I a rabbit? Get some meat." I explained that he has high cholesterol, so it's better to eat less meat. But he stood up and threw my meal on the floor. He said, "Nobody knows my body better than I do. I'm going out to eat." Ignoring my protests, he grabbed his wallet and phone and slammed the door as he left. Every day, I searched the internet for recipes that used less salt and meat for my husband because his cholesterol was high. Despite my efforts, it felt pointless. When my husband came home 3 hours later, he was humming a song and seemed drunk. I picked up the mess he had made on the floor, including his coat, which smelled like grilled meat and perfume. I had suspected my husband was cheating before, but I had no proof, so I tried not to worry. However, the smell of the perfume made me more certain this time. Whenever he was in a bad mood, he would leave without saying anything and would take a long bath when he got home. I could smell that same perfume from his coat, even from the laundry basket. Feeling increasingly confident that he was cheating, I decided to gather evidence. 3 weeks later, we were on our way to my in-laws' house for New Year's Day. All the relatives gather at my husband's parents' house for a party. When we arrived, my mother-in-law had prepared a beautiful and delicious New Year's dinner. My husband and I wished everyone a Happy New Year. "You don't have to be shy, Emma. Go ahead and eat," my mother-in-law said. "Thank you very much," I replied. But my husband looked dissatisfied as I sat down to enjoy the food. "Hey, where are the chopsticks?" he shouted. I went to the kitchen, got them from my mother-in-law, and handed them to him. "Where are the cups?" he asked next. He complained, "Can't she do that without being asked? You should pay attention to what's around you." Even with all our relatives present, my husband continued to insult me. "I'm not a mind reader. You should at least tell me what you need." I held back my irritation and gave him a glass. He drank sake with a smile while the relatives watched him. "Would you like a drink too, Emma?" my uncle asked. But before I could respond, my husband said, "No, she's my driver." My mother-in-law and other female relatives were busy in the kitchen, preparing lunch and bringing drinks and snacks to the men. I was also wearing an apron I brought from home and working non-stop. My father-in-law and the other men were having a great time, drinking one beer after another. I could hear them laughing loudly. I'm sorry you all have to work so hard, my mother-in-law said. Let's take a break. I've prepared some hot tea for us. While we were drinking tea and chatting, I heard my husband's voice from the living room. Let's play a game and say things we can't normally say. It's a new year, he suggested. The men cheered at his idea. The loser of rock paper scissors gets to speak their mind. My husband, who had drunk too much, could barely speak. That sounds like fun. My mother-in-law smiled, clearly interested. I had a plan for this New Year's party, too. When my husband spoke up, I saw my chance. I took something from my bag and put it in my apron pocket. The game of rock paper scissors started, and the losers began to complain about their jobs and salaries. So true, the others agreed. Finally, my husband lost, and it was his turn to voice his complaints. I felt a mix of excitement and nervousness about what he would say. My complaint is that my wife is unattractive and her food tastes bad, he declared. I was shocked and couldn't think straight. My father-in-law awkwardly cleared his throat, saying, "When you got married, you were praising her beauty and cooking skills." "That was a long time ago, Dad," my husband replied. "Now she only serves tasteless food that looks like rabbit food." My uncle's face turned serious. "That's terrible. As his wife, she should do better," he added. Other men agreed, but no one knew that I had been trying hard every day to cook for my husband's health. Hearing their comments made me feel embarrassed and angry. I wanted to run away. The conversation shifted to other men complaining about their wives. "I work hard, so I deserve a bigger allowance." They told their wives to stop whining and just obey them. My father-in-law smiled, but the women looked down in silence. Then it was my husband's turn again. "Everyone is lucky to have children," he said. "My wife is defective and can't have kids. He should know how much I wanted children." I never imagined he would insult me like that. Sadness and frustration filled my heart. I took a deep breath to keep from crying. "It will be okay, Emma," my mother-in-law said gently, taking my hand. She sighed deeply, stood up, and approached my husband with a serious expression I had never seen before. "Is that all you have to say?" she yelled. The men were surprised. She usually seemed kind and obedient. The lively atmosphere in the room suddenly turned quiet. "Hey, we're all having a good time," my father-in-law said to my mother-in-law. "There's no need to be angry." "Are you kidding? You guys are the only ones enjoying yourselves. You should stop them. Shame on you, defective woman," my mother-in-law shot back. "Yes, that's right," my father-in-law replied, looking troubled. "Can't you see that we have things to say, too?" The women, who had been silently nodding, suddenly burst into applause. "Don't be afraid to speak up. Say what you want, and it will feel better," my mother-in-law encouraged. Her words inspired the women to share their true feelings. One after another, they voiced their complaints. "If you want a bigger allowance, increase your income," one said. "If you don't want us to complain, do things yourself," another added. "I'd rather have you help me." As the wives made clear complaints, the men were left speechless and began to apologize. But my husband remained cold and uninterested. "What's wrong with telling the truth? Why should I apologize?" he said defiantly. His question was met with awkward glances from the other men. "I will not apologize," he insisted. "I have an unattractive wife, a bad cook, and a defective woman who can't have children." My husband kept humiliating me, pointing fingers in my direction. The sadness and frustration I had been holding back turned into uncontrollable rage. "You have no right to say that to me," I said calmly as I approached him, secretly controlling my cell phone that I had hidden in my apron pocket. "It's not fair that you get to relieve your stress while I can't. You have complaints about me, right? Well, I'd love to share mine too." I pulled out an envelope from my pocket and spread the photos inside on the table for everyone to see. The pictures showed my husband entering a hotel room with a woman and another photo of him leaving her apartment, holding her hand. I had installed a GPS device in his car so I could track him and take pictures to prove he was cheating. I planned to discuss this privately with my mother-in-law later, but I felt I had to do it now. Everyone in the room was shocked, and the atmosphere became chaotic. My husband was visibly agitated as he collected the photos. "It's common for husbands to cheat, right, guys?" he asked the other men, but no one agreed. My uncle, who had previously supported my husband, said firmly, "No, that can't be forgiven." The other men nodded in agreement. My husband tried to act strong, but I found his behavior disgusting, so I confronted him with more evidence. "I got a phone call a week ago from Maruka-san, your new girlfriend. I heard you've been dating her for 3 years. "Maruka? Who is that?" he asked, trying to sound clueless. "Don't play dumb. I heard you liked your subordinate, and Maruka is 7 months pregnant." "I don't know what you're talking about," he stammered, but I could see he was getting nervous. "She wants you to divorce me, but you've refused to acknowledge the baby, telling her I wouldn't accept a divorce," I continued. "That's not true," he protested. "Oh really? I thought you didn't know her name," I replied, pulling out my cell phone from my apron pocket. I put it on speaker and turned the volume up so everyone could hear. "Did you hear what I just said, Maruka-san?" She sniffled, possibly crying, and quietly said, "Yes." I had called her the day before New Year's and told her I would call today. She wanted to know what my husband really thought, so she agreed to be on the call. I secretly called the girl right before I confronted my husband. When she overheard our conversation, she burst into tears and got really angry. "My wife and I are getting a divorce, and he asked me to wait until then," she said. "I never said that," my husband replied. "You, as my wife, should understand, right? Why would I? You're the only one who betrayed me," I shot back. Hearing this, he looked down and fell silent. "I will never forgive you," the girl said before hanging up. She believed my husband's lies. "Here are the divorce papers. Sign them right now," I demanded, but he became furious. "Don't be ridiculous. I can't just write this down immediately. How dare you?" he yelled. "After all this, I'll make you pay me 2 million yen in alimony." "No, I'm never going to divorce you. I don't have that much money." He began stamping his feet like a child, and I almost laughed at his childishness. But I continued to push for the divorce and alimony. "Tom, you're not a little kid. Shame on you." My mother-in-law looked frustrated by his childish behavior and scolded him. "You have no right to refuse the divorce or the alimony. Accept reality with dignity." "It's not that easy, Mom," he whined. "Dad, you can't blame me for what you did." Finally, he reluctantly signed the divorce papers and agreed to pay alimony, holding back tears. I had planned to reveal my husband's affair during this gathering, and I pushed him even harder. "I terminated our lease at the end of this month because you don't need 2 homes to return to, right?" When I said this, the women applauded, and the men sighed deeply. My husband left my in-laws' house, almost running away from everyone's attention. The following day, we submitted the divorce papers to the city office, and I moved into a rental apartment I had already signed a contract for. I also requested 1.5 million yen in alimony from my ex-husband's unfaithful partner. It was a devastating blow for her since she had resigned from her job after becoming pregnant, but I couldn't forgive her. After our divorce, my ex-husband tried to rely on the girl. As soon as his apartment was terminated, he immediately wrote the child recognition papers, but eventually, she dumped him and demanded 1.5 million yen per month in child support. Additionally, My ex-husband resigned from his job after the affair became public, making it difficult for him to stay at the company. His parents abandoned him, and he couldn't find a new job. He ended up sleeping in an internet cafe and working part-time jobs to pay the alimony. My ex-mother-in-law, Susan, informed me that my ex-husband's cholesterol levels had gone up, and he was harming his body. He had been living a self-indulgent lifestyle since the divorce. On the other hand, Susan and I became friends after the divorce and grew even closer than when I was married to Tom. Now, I am content living a peaceful life while enjoying my solitude.